Okay, so we have the index.html created. That's all wonderful, but this course is more about PHP, so we're going to have to convert this to a PHP page. The way we're going to do that is with a whole bunch of functions. Now we're going to call this file site functions, and we'll see where we put it in a little bit. But all we're basically going to do is take the code from the index.html and put them into PHP functions. So for instance, I'm going to create a function called default CSS. It's going to, because it's a lot of code and not having to write every single line, I'm just going to say echo 3 less than symbols and the word end, capital E, capital N, capital D. That's important because it will then just spit out all this code until it reaches capital E, capital N, capital D, semicolon with no extra spaces. Causes a problem if you put an extra space on that line. Now, the function sidebar doesn't contain much yet. Just the division ID equals sidebar and slash division, so that's all it's going to have there. In main, it's got a division, ID equals main, and it will echo to another one called end all the way down to there. I don't really know why I have this division inside the echo and not on its own or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Inside of that, I'm going to have a P to slash P where I have that Latinish text from Cicero as a placeholder. In the right side, I have the same thing that I already had, division ID equals right side, and just an H1 right side. That's all it says right at the moment. The head start is going to contain the things that I put at the beginning of my document, doc type HTML and head, title, and then you'll notice I put the default CSS, so I have all my style sheet is going to be showing up here. Rather than a link to a style sheet, it's going to be a function that just spits that out. The head end, of course, is the slash head, and the beginning of the body class equals default. So that's what I have in the beginning and the end of my head. Now, I also have a page end, which just contains body and HTML, so I don't want to forget that. But after I have my header area, I have what I'm calling the head of the page, which has got an ID of the head, and inside of that is a table ID equals head. We already have seen this code, so it shouldn't be confusing. We're just going to cut and paste that code and put it into a function called the head. One difference is I created a logo here called with the link to my GIF file, and then I just had image source equals logo, just because I felt like doing that. Then I'm going to have a home page. Below that, this is where it's going to contain, it's going to have the head, and then it's going to contain a division ID equals index, which we've talked about. What's inside of that? The sidebar, the main, and the right side. I'm going to take that file called site functions, and I'm going to put it into a folder called extra that's beneath my public underscore HTML folder. So then my index.php is going to simply include that site functions.php page, have my head start and my head end. $con cannot actually in the future equal NA, but for the moment it is going to because I have nothing else to do with it. And ARR is an array, but if I don't have anything that I'm sending as an array, it's just going to send NA as well. And so it calls that home page and then does page end. And that is how the index.php page looks exactly like the index.html page, only it was all written in PHP code.